In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to apply plugins to your session. Plugins provide EQ, dynamics, delay, and many other types of effects processing and function either in real time, i.e. the signal is affected during playback, like reverb, altering the source file, or non-real time. This is when the signal has been processed and a new audio file is created to store that effect, like for example when you normalize. Normalizing is when you boost the level of your signal to the maximum without clipping. Let's try it out here. We don't want to generate any clipping, so I will reduce it a little bit so that the maximum level it reaches is minus 2.7 dB. Now let's click Process. As you can see, our waveform is altered. This is a new file, and it's available to us in the region list, and we choose whether we want to keep it or not. Pro Tools supports plugins built in RTAS architecture, real-time audio suite. They can be applied to the virtual signal path on all track types except MIDI tracks. The signal passes from an insert, A through E. No inserts are available on MIDI tracks. The sequence of your plugins will have a great impact on the final sound. Pro Tools stores its non-real-time plugins in the Audio Suite menu. They are non-destructive, meaning your original file will be left intact unless you enable destructive editing. All versions of Pro Tools come with some effects, and the upper-end LE systems and HD systems come with a lot of plugin effects. HD users will also have DigiDesign's TDM plugins. Many third-party plugins are built in RTAS architecture and will work with your Pro Tools version. Pro Tools comes with frequency-based effects like EQ3, gain-based effects like compression, limiting, de-essing. They're in Dynamics 3. Pro Tools includes Reverb as a reverb plugin. There's also some other types of plugins. You can find the real-time plugins in the Mix Windows insert slots. Dither improves the quality of a conversion to a lower bit depth. Click is also a plugin. This is how you enable your metronome. To insert a plugin, click on the arrow selectors on the insert slots. If you don't see the insert slots, you can make them visible through the Mix Window View selector. Select Inserts. Let's hide instruments to get more room here. Option or Alt-drag your insert to copy it from one track to another, along with current settings, as long as the number of channels and the type of track match. To remove a plugin, simply select No Insert from the pop-up menu. If you hold down Option or Alt while you're selecting a plugin, you'll instantiate it on all tracks of the same kind with the same number of channels. Careful not to duplicate plugins that load up your processor too much. EQ and compression plugins usually need less juice, so they're okay to duplicate. But if you want to apply reverb to more than a couple of your tracks, you'd be better off sending those tracks to an aux-in with a reverb insert. In Pro Tools, plugin inserts are pre-fader. Pre-fader means that the input levels to the effect are not impacted by the volume fader level. Even if I slide this low, 100% of my signal will go to these two inserts. Post-fader means that the level of signal going to the plugin is first affected by the volume settings on your fader. The sends located in these slots here are default post-fader, but you can choose to make them pre-fader. Each plugin interface has a bypass button. Press this to let the signal pass without any processing. Thus, it's bypassing the plugin. Every plugin interface has one. You can also bypass plugins from the Mix window. Just Command or Control-click on the plugin. Even when bypassed, plugins will eat up system resources. Make them inactive with a Command and Control-click on Mac, or Control and Start in Windows. When plugins are inactive, they free up your system resources. Use the same shortcuts to make them active again. Now let's send our audio tracks to a bus where we will apply a plugin. Applying a send opens a send output window. We can adjust the level of signal we want to go to this bus, or choose pre or post fader. We'll adjust the level of signal, and let's go to our next audio track. Again, we will select the bus to which we will send the signal. Output window opens. We adjust the signal meter and close the output window. Okay, now we need to create an aux-in track, which will receive the signal from these tracks. We'll accept the default options. Here's our new track. Let's name it appropriately. We'll call it Reverb. Click OK. Now let's go back to the mix window with a Command or Control equal sign. We need to choose an input. For our input, we will choose the bus to which we sent the other tracks. Now we're going to insert the Reverb plugin. The plugin interface window opens. We make our selection. We'll be learning how to manipulate these plugin interfaces in subsequent volumes of this course. Now let's have a listen. Watch for the effect of combined signals on the master output. Same thing when you use external hardware effects like a compressor. A good idea to take some time to experiment with the order of plugins. Adjusting some annoying frequencies on an EQ before you get to reverb might improve the quality of your overall sound. A compressor applied prior to a volume maximizer will let you get even hotter levels because it'll tame the dynamics of the peaks in your take. The only place to insert a dithering plugin is on the last insert of your master fader track. You certainly wouldn't want to convert to a lower bit depth any earlier in your signal flow. And this concludes our tutorial on using plugins in Pro Tools.